All right.
Okay, as you just heard, the affirmative proposition that the government higher educational student grant system should be replaced by a limited loan program. His proposition, or through his proposition and his argument, there were many, it was filled with fallacies and some reasoning arguments. I'm going to address those. His first two reasons as to what's wrong with the government higher educational student grant system is that the grant and scholarship systems are corrupt, and that tuition increases because the government has guaranteed loan amounts. To address his first claim, the grant and scholarship systems are corrupt, well, first off, scholarship systems are not part of the grant system. Scholarships are free money and given through stipends, and they're given through outside sources and not through the government. So that is completely irrelevant to his argument. Secondly, they do not provide a proper definition of corrupt. According to dictionary.com, corrupt means guilty of dishonest practices as bribery, lacking integrity, and crooked. Based on that definition, in my eyes, federal grants can't be corrupt. Federal grants are given through specific criteria, which is listed through FAFSA, and the grants are issued on, if you qualify for the grants, then you get them. If you don't, then you aren't awarded the grant. So how does that make them biased or dishonest, which is the definition of corrupt? Also, he mentioned a fact or an example about a student debating whether to go to MIT and Berkeley, and because MIT offered the student $20,000 in financial aid, that changed the student's mind to go to that college. Well, how does this prove that the school can charge whatever they want? And that's not really a real-world example, because of course Berkeley is going to offer financial aid as well. And then he didn't state where that even came from. To address his second claim as to what's wrong with the government grant system, he said that tuition increases because the government has guaranteed the loan amounts. Tuition increases because of different reasons, not just because of the grants that are distributed. Firstly, tuition increases because population increases, and so the school needs more money to educate more students. According to Liz Pulliam-Weston, writer for MSN Money, the enrollment of students is approximated to go up from 17.5 million to 21.2 million by 2010. If the increase in students, because of the increase in students, colleges are going to need to hire more professors, and hiring more professors is going to cause an increase in tuition. The reason why they hire more professors is because the educational system pushes for an economically inefficient classroom size, and that's because if there's smaller amount of students in a classroom, there's a greater amount of education for the student. Tuition also increases because of capital spending. Colleges are trying to be the best and improve technology. Cornell economist Ronald G. Herrenberg, in his book Tuition Rising, describes a kind of arms race among the nation's top schools to have the best of everything: the best facilities, the best faculty, and strong sports teams to engender loyalty among alumni donors. What he's saying is that because the schools want to better themselves, they are going to need more money in order to pay for everything. And so by getting more money, that's why they're going to raise tuition so that they have enough money to better themselves. And then tuition also increases due to a lack of state appropriations. According to Barbara Morenis, a writer for the U.S. Department of Education, she states that, in contrast, at public four-year institutions, a decline in state appropriations was the single most important factor associated with increases in tuition. If the state isn't budgeting enough money for all the colleges, then obviously colleges are going to need to raise tuition in order to pay for everything. And then also in their claim that tuition increased because the government has guaranteed loan amounts, they aren't talking about loans in their proposition. They're talking about grants. Therefore, this statement is dismissible. The affirmative wants to replace the grant system with the limited government loan system. And in his topic, he says that the government loan system is the reason why tuition increases. So based on this point, and we do what he wants to do, tuition's still going to increase, even if you get rid of the grant. And then the affirmative disparity that tuition increases due to the amount of financial aid given to students among universities. Their claim that tuition increases because the government has guaranteed the loan amounts does not fall under the category of financial aid. They define financial aid as federal given grants, so loans don't have anything to do with it. And then their reason why that the government systems are corrupt and bad are because they say that the government offers student loans at rates like private loan companies can't compete with. Well, first off, the government, they are proving a point, but it's not the point in dispute, because they want to replace grants with student loans, and so what does private loan companies have to do with it? That's not even mentioned in their proposition. And then they say that there's a problem. In his speech, he just said that there's a problem with students going to the government for loans, but then if that's a problem, then why do they want to replace the grant system with government loans? So basically, their claims and their evidence, or through their evidence, they're fallacies, and so their claims are